Hi, welcome. This is the Sheepdogs Report for July and August. You can go to emptytoonmedia.com. You can also go to sheepdogs.com and you can see everything that I'm going to talk about, all the news stories there for Empty Toon. And then you also have Sheepdogs, which are for the initiated or the members and pastors. The first story comes from Pacific Justice Institute. Pacific Justice Institute is fighting a federal lawsuit for the right of a parent whose child was unlawfully taken away. This happened in Montana. The defendant is the Colsads, and what happened was that their child was having gender dysphoria, so they put the child under 24 hours observation. While they were under observation, CPS swooped in and took the child. This happened in Montana. In Montana, you can't give the child puberty blockers or any chemical to start the transition until they're a certain age, or I think it's like 18. So what the CPS did was they came in without a warrant, took the child to Wyoming to have the transgender affirmation process happen. What the Pacific Justice Institution is doing is they're suing the caseworker and the supervisor for violating the 14th Amendment. And there was a statement by Brad Dacus, and Brad Dacus said this: "Not blindly affirming a gender dysphoria is not child abuse." So remember to say that next time that you feel that you've been violated or something might happen to you in your state. The next story, it comes from the California Family Council. Now, there's a program called Kinder Buddy. Now, what Kinder Buddy is a program where older children that say like in the 5th and 6th grade work with children or their kindergartens and preschoolers and assist the teacher in teaching them how to read. Well, in the Ensenada Union School District, a Kinder Buddy was teaching transgenderism and homosexuality. The way that this all got started was a 5th grader was upset about reading this to a kindergarten. And he didn't want to read it, and he even felt like he had to get the kindergartner to read it. So what he did was he went home and told his parents. Well, the parents was outraged because apparently there's a weekly report that comes out once a week, and it might report, general stuff, but it didn't mention that my child was going to be reading homosexual and transgender literature to a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. The parents got upset and they told the other parents, and there was kind of a brouhaha there. Now, here's the cool part about it. When the teacher was confronted, the only thing the teacher told them parents was, "Oh, this book is really about colors." Because the name of the book is My Shadow is Pink. That's the name of the book. So cleverly it's like, "Oh no, it's about color. It's not about what you think it is. What actually your child think it is." The next story actually comes from the California Family Council too. This is the second story comes from them. The California Senate passed AB 955. Now, what AB 955 does is it imposes a government wall between the parent and the child. What it does is it prohibits schools from notifying parents. And back when I was in school, you had to get a notification for everything. If the child was allergic to aspirin, you had to get a notification. If you were going to take a field trip, had to be a notification. I remember when they actually taught sex ed. And when they taught sex ed, I had to take that note to my parents, and they had to give permission for them to even teach me this. Well, what the California Senate feels is that parents shouldn't be notified at all. We should be able to do what we want to do to your children when they're at our schools. Okay, let's go to the next story. This comes from the Telegraph. Not to be outdone, this is something that was happening behind our backs again. The Biden administration tried to remove transgender age limits. They were trying to remove it. Now the story goes, this comes from the Telegraph, that the Admiral Rachel Levine. Now, the fact that it's an admiral, and the person that's an admiral is a man who dresses like a woman, okay? The fact that happened, and other world leaders see that. Your admiral don't know if he's a man or a woman. They don't look good to ancient societies. who have warriors. Anyway, Assistant Secretary of Health urged medical organizations to abandon the recommendations for youth. She went to what's called the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, WPATH. Now remember that name. WPATH is going to be a big obstacle that we have to deal with. That's transgendering kids. Now they also have influence with the NHS, which is the National Health Service. Okay, what they were going to do is they were planning on lowering the ages. Here's the ages. Minimum age at 14 for hormonal treatments. 14. 15 for when a girl has her breast removed. 15 years old. 16-year-olds breast augmentations, which would mean that the boy want to have breasts, and facial surgery so they can look more like a girl or they can look more like a guy. Okay, at 17, genital surgeries and hysterectomies, whereas with the ages that they wanted to shoot for federally. So whatever you had going on in your state, this would trump that. Okay, that's what they were trying to do behind your back. Keep in mind that most of Europe, and according to the last report we did, you found out that Europe has completely reversed all of that. But not the United States. They want to push forward. Now, what I've come to understand, that anytime you sexualize a child, a grown person sexualize a child, that's called pedophilia. So you got grown people who want to do this to kids, sexualize the kids at a young age. That's still pedophilia. It's just not in the traditional sense. Now, let's go to the next report. Comes from Action Alerts from Real Impact. Real Impact works with Calvary Chapel, or is part of Calvary Chapel, and Jack Hibbs' organization. And they are one of the foremost leading churches when it comes to proactive Christianity. 4 bills we need to pay attention to that's trying to make its way to law. We have AB 602, which endangers pro-life centers. What they want to do with the pro-life centers, they're targeting them by saying that there's false advertisement because they don't include abortion centers as part of their choices. Now, keep in mind that the abortion centers don't have to advertise for the pregnancy center as an alternative to getting an abortion, but it's the other way around. They're kind of forcing them to do this. That's what this law would do. Okay, AB 544 has to do with voting. I found this so ridiculous. They want to have voting booths or voting polls inside the jails. Let that sink in. They want inmates and convicts to vote. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, how corrupt? Surely corruption wouldn't be among criminals. I'm sure there wouldn't be any forced voting. Or somebody getting paid payola, or their family being taken care of while they're in jail if you vote this way. I'm sure that would not happen. And I'm sure they wouldn't agree to any laws that make, getting out of jail faster. Like a district attorney. An easing of the laws. That would not happen. Oh, that's funny. Then we got SB 233, which will allow Arizona doctors to have offices in California. In other words, they can post themselves on the border. That would be Yuma, Parker, Arizona, Barstow. They can have offices in California, and they can transport the children who want to have abortions to those clinics, have the operation, and send them back to Phoenix or to Arizona. That's what that is about. That's not good. I mean, importing abortion into California. Like we don't have enough. And we're also interfering, finding a loophole for the state who actually voted a particular way. You're interfering with another state's business. That's what you're doing. Okay, and the last one. This targets school districts and school board members who protect parent rights. This would target them. This would target people who actually want to help the parent because they're probably parents and they probably think that this isn't right. But this is going to target those teachers and the school board members. So, if you have any more questions, you can find these stories at sheepdogsunion.com and emptytunemedia.com. You can also join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'll catch you next time. This is Minister V. Hill. This was the Sheepdogs Report.